going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
the question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Joe, you've had 308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me about this.
I'm happy to talk about this.
And if you were here, it wouldn't be 200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw.
You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home, number one.
Joe, you agreed with Bernie Sanders.
Look, hey, I'm not going to listen to him. You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just tell you, Joe, I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe.
All right, welcome to Hannity. The very first presidential debate is now officially in the books, and the extremely weak, the frail, the confused, kind of angry Joe Biden just got steamrolled by President Trump. Joe flat out refused to answer simple, basic, fundamental questions, unable to respond to the president's beatdowns, and he appeared flustered, irritated, and, well, cranky. Joe, maybe it's past his bedtime. Probably stayed up too late, needs his nap. Anyway, we have a lot of live reaction for the full hour. Analysis moments away. Donald Trump Jr. will be here. Sarah Sanders will be here. Dan Bongino, Judge Janine will also join us.
The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now.
Go ahead. Wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me.
Hey, let me just say, Joe.
Now, it's no wonder that Joe did, well, so little to improve the country. He's been nearly 5 decades in the swamp, the sewer that we call Washington, D.C., as the president pointed out, also numerous times tonight. Let's take a look.
Joe, I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of.
Now, instead of actually helping Americans, 47 years, Joe Biden was busy lining the pockets of his own family. In spite of him denying it, he's wrong. That includes zero experience Hunter Biden. And as we have learned this week, we got Russian oligarchs, we got Ukrainian oligarchs, we got Russian nationals, we got Chinese nationals, Ukrainian nationals, Kazakh nationals, who, all in business. We have wire transfers, millions of dollars from Ukrainian, Russian oligarchs, shopping sprees courtesy of China, people connected to the Communist Party of China, and, of course, the $1.5 billion deal with the Bank of China. But he denied it all. Not true.
Trade deficit
China
with
ate
Mexico.
Your lunch, down
all right,
18%. China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million? What did he do to deserve it?
Well, he might enter the Oval Office, but they will be in control, that's for sure. Joining us now with reaction to tonight's debate, 2 former press secretaries, Fox News contributors Ari Fleischer and Sarah Sanders. All right, so I'm sure your text message in your inbox was probably as full of mine.
Those are still the top 2 issues that voters are voting on, the economy and law and order. The president should be hammering those vulnerabilities on Joe Biden every single day, day after day after day, all the way up to Election Day. Those are 2 of his biggest strengths, 2 of Joe Biden's biggest weaknesses. I think he was great on those issues. He should keep hammering them all the way through up till November 3rd.
You know, Ari, I had to make a list because it's so long. I followed your tax laws, Joe. He talked about all the money that Hunter made. He made that money. He lied about a lot of different things. And, you know, I actually prefer a new style of debate. Maybe we'll have it in the future one day, and that is let him go. Just like, you know, we like to watch football warriors and gladiators in the octagon and boxers box. Let them go. Let them have at it and let the American people decide.
Well, first of all, I thought that the president had the best line of the night. When he said, I've done more in 47 months than you've done in 47 years, that was a pretty good way to sum everything up. And I still think that Joe Biden is leaving himself very vulnerable because he just refuses to take a stand out of weakness. He acknowledges it. I won't give you an answer on court packing or on filibuster because I don't want my answer to be the issue. What kind of leader or statesman answers a question like that? Both candidates, too much interruption, too much back and forth. And he interrupted himself regularly with pejoratives, but then he was also weak and couldn't answer basic questions.
Sarah, you'll get the last word.
I think Ari was exactly right.
All right, good to see you both. Joe Biden, he didn't have a defense tonight for the corruption allegations made against his son. The president wasn't having any of that. Take a look.
Here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that.
First
to
Lady
Joe
of
Biden's
Moscow.
son. There's a First Lady of Moscow. I've seen more anonymous store stuff that falls and gets debunked after they get 1 week to run with the story as though it's the gospel. That's the real problem. And so, if there is a frustration where my father then comes out aggressively, it's because they've been doing this for 4 years. They talk about a peaceful transition of power. The American Republic has existed for 243 years. Obama and Biden were the first people to not have a peaceful transition of power. They tried to weaponize their friends in government and the highest levels of American law enforcement to try to combat this president, the duly elected president of the United States. They're playing games with ballots all over the place. You saw Pennsylvania. You saw the O'Keefe stuff. And we're supposed to pretend like it doesn't happen because the Democrats control the media, so they won't highlight very obvious things. I mean, he's taking on a multi-billion-dollar mainstream media complex. Joe Biden can hide in the basement. He doesn't have to get out and do campaign rallies. The media will do that for him. He can sit there for months and do a debate prep because no one's going to ask him a question as to why he's not taking any questions.
How do you get away with not answering whether you're stacked the court or not?
Because you know what the answer is. He knows what the answer is, so he doesn't want to line out for when he eventually does it. But it's no secret. Amy Coney, she's the reason they're now talking about this. They were talking about this 2 months ago before Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. And Donald Trump was right. Ruth Bader Ginsburg said the president is the president for 4 years, not a fraction of that, not 3 years. He's the president for 4 years, so he should fill this court.
Answer by Biden because he's like, well, you have to have an election. Well, we had an election.
Correct.
He's the president. It's happened 29 times in election years.
Well, you're in an election year. It's like, so you mean he's not the president till January or whatever it is?
Right.
Well, of course he is. So it's an asinine answer. But again, no one's going to call him out on that very real fact. There are people watching in America right now. We've seen this game play out too many times.
Amazing.
The Republicans don't win special elections once they go past.
Every ballot was cast for your dad that was in the garbage pan.
Yeah, from the military. There are differences, but they try to take and conflate the issues.
All right, tonight President Trump forcefully defended his nomination to the United States Supreme Court. Judge Amy Coney Barrett, as well as his constitutional duty to fill that Supreme Court vacancy. I don't know. Joe said we have to have an election. Take a look.
We won the election. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
during
election.
that period of time.
2020 campaign senior advisor Mercedes Schlapp. She, like Don Jr., has also been COVID tested.
He continued to not give direct answers on questions like, will you pack the court? Or what's your stance on the Green New Deal, which it seems like he flip-flopped on that as well.
He denied the Bolshevik Bernie manifesto, which he agreed to.
That's right. And the president pointed that out strongly. And I think that for Joe Biden, it definitely did not give a very clear direction on where he would take America, other than he kept shifting. It was like the shifting of Joe Biden. While I think President Trump made it very clear that he is providing economic growth and prosperity for our nation and combating coronavirus and developing the vaccine. And it's a laundry list of accomplishments by the president that he addressed tonight.
As I predicted, Judge, I believe coming into this that Joe Biden probably spent all of these, lid days, which is half of the month of September, and pretty much staying in his basement bunker the whole time, learning his 3 or 4 points. But even then, I don't know what you call it, a brain fart. I mean, he gets lost, he digresses, he gets confused. I felt like I'm looking at a confused, corpse versus this ever this Energizer bunny that's ready for battle and combat.
When I talk about the president, I talk about the president as being the kind of guy who goes into the lion's den and he comes out with a pelt over his shoulder and his tie straight. And tonight was an example of that. I mean, Joe Biden kept looking down. I don't know, his eyes looked closed to me. Joe Biden said, well, we want sociologists and psychologists to go with the police when they respond. And I think his exact words were to keep the police from using force. Really? We train the police on how to act in situations. And now Joe wants to send a psychologist and sociologist with the police to not only stop them from using force, but to end up in the line of trouble themselves. He kept saying it's discredited, it's debunked. By whom? I kept tweeting, by whom is it debunked? We know there's a bank record. I don't want to hear that he's in his house relaxing tomorrow because this has taken such a toll on him.
No, the lid usually goes on at about 9:30. He needs his hot cocoa and his little nap. Mercedes.
But let's remember, the idea is that it's the far left that's controlling Joe Biden at the end of the day. That's why he couldn't even give a clear answer. So when the president kept pressing, tell me, are you going to say law and order? Are you going to say law enforcement? He does not stand with our law enforcement. And it's why you've seen all these associations align themselves with President Trump, because at the end of the day, what we want is safe communities. So I got to tell you, he's being controlled by the far left.
There are people in this country that would like somebody that is just plays by the rules and plays polite and doesn't interrupt and does everything the nice way. I don't see how you fight the deep state now with all that we've learned. This was a conspiracy organized by Clinton from the get-go. They knew that Steele's source was a Russian operative for 10 years. We find now we got Russian oligarchs, Ukrainian oligarchs, China nationals, Kazakh nationals, Ukrainian nationals, Russian nationals, all the funding, it's so corrupt. It's like, it's the exact opposite of what the country has heard the last 4 years. Now it's all out there. Now there's so much to consume in such a little period of time before the election. But Donald Trump was elected on this. We'll give you the last word.
Well, I think that Joe Biden has disappointed just about everyone tonight. He's disappointed the left because he said to his vice presidential candidate and AOC, who's supposed to be in charge of the Green New Deal, that he's got his own deal. I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to put on the court. And then law and order. I mean, he lost tonight as far as I'm concerned. He lost people on every side because the guy's not a fighter and he's not going to fight for you. He's got a lot of lines that he memorized, but they didn't work.
Take a look.
He did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. We believe in law and order, but you don't.
Keep fighting, because you cannot trust the media.
You know, well, there was other stuff he could have brought up, too. We have brought it up on this program, praising the former Klansman that filibustered the Civil Rights Act of '64 and was against the Voting Rights Act, fought against integration of public schools with the former Klansman because he didn't want his kids going to public schools that are racial jungles. Record low unemployment, Geraldo Rivera, for every minority group in this country. That was Trump. That wasn't Biden. That wasn't Obama.
You know, I want to get to the record low unemployment in the African-American community. But first, let me defend Chris Wallace. I mean, my God, the guy signed up to moderate a debate, and he ended up trying to referee a knife fight. I was worried the president came on, he was big-footing, and I was afraid he was going to be accused of bullying. And then guess what? Joe Biden decided to grapple with him. So you had Conor McGregor was an ultimate fighter. He became a boxer. He didn't do so well against Mayweather. And you're absolutely right that Joe Biden's most uncomfortable moment when he was asked by the president, who demanded to know what police department had endorsed Joe Biden, and Joe Biden could not answer. I thought that was the president's best moment.
So don't tell me about a free transition.
President blasting Joe Biden for all the deep state corruption of the Obama administration at tonight's debate. Joining us now with their reaction, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. He's got his new book out there, Firebrand, and, by the way, a top seller. And Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. I'm a little old school, and I like a fighter. And Donald Trump, I don't think, would have accomplished anything as president, fought back against the deep state, if he was not a fighter. I think Joe Biden descending into whatever confusion and flashes of anger and brain lapses and digressions, I don't think he helped himself, Matt Gaetz.
Joe Biden did look frail. And I think also President Trump made Joe Biden the candidate of the mob. It was just sad when Trump pressed Joe Biden for a single law enforcement organization that supported him. And by the way, Sean, mostly they support Democrats. They're unions. These are police unions that in a lot of state and local races back the Democrat candidate, but they're all backing President Trump because they see Joe Biden, the candidate of the mob. Very effective night for the president. He was the only strong leader in the debate. He came prepared for the debate, and he probably came prepared to moderate it. I thought President Trump's questions were better than Chris Wallace's.
You know, look, Tammy, riots, law and order, calling out rightly Hunter, the mayor of Moscow, Joe's comments about super predator. I followed your tax laws. If we would have followed your plan of xenophobia, not having the travel ban, couldn't name anybody in law enforcement. I honestly, on issue after issue, I didn't really see Joe Biden scoring on the substance either.
No, and look, a lot of people were saying, well, look, a lot of new people are going to be watching this. They're going to see, what Joe Biden can do because they've heard so much. It was a very low bar that he was able to go over. But what they also saw was not the same Joe Biden they saw a number of years ago.